Hello everyone, this is Arif Basha from IGNO welcoming you to this audio session, keeping everybody safe during coronavirus outbreak which is happening throughout the world, and to minimize the impact of it on students, IGNO is adapting to the change and coming with audio sessions as a part of teaching and learning process. This may not be a substitute for counseling classes, but it helps to prepare for exams by making use of the resources available with you. IGNOU Study Center 0106 was started in 1988 with student strength of 50 at SSBN Degree College Autonomous, Anantapur, Andhra Pradesh. This study center has grown by leaps and bounds since then, and at present it offers about 72 undergraduate, postgraduate, diploma and certificate programs. Mr. M. Murali Mohan Reddy, coordinator, along with 4 members of support staff, are providing effective student support service at this center. This audio session is going to deal with program CBS, the Certificate in Business Skill program. It has been developed jointly by IGNO, Rajiv Gandhi Foundation and Commonwealth of Learning, Vancouver, Canada. The main objective of this program is to enable NGOs and other agencies to develop business skills among the street children. This is a vocational program as it gives more emphasis to self-employment. This certificate program makes the learners competent in the area of business communication, entrepreneurship, basic computer knowledge, business organization, and accounting. As a commerce faculty, I am going to discuss about the preparatory course in commerce, PCO01. The course comes with 20 units. Let me explore each unit separately. Now let me start with first unit. The objective of first unit is to help you to explain what a business activity is, classify business activities, and identify different forms of business organization. In this unit, I will cover introduction followed by nature of business, classification of business activities, and forms of business organization. Introduction. This is an introductory unit for the preparatory course in commerce. This course essentially consists of accounting. In this unit, I intend to explain the nature of business activities and the various forms in which they can be organized. This serves as background for proper understanding of the need for accounting. Nature of business. The basic cause of all productive activities is the unlimited wants of human beings and the need to satisfy them. Human wants are many and also complex in nature, though the basic requirements of human beings are three, that is, food, cloth, and shelter. We are not satisfied with them alone. We are consuming or using many other things which have to be generally paid for. For example, take your own case. Try to recall your daily routine from the time you get up from bed till the time you go to bed. During this period, you consume or use many things. The toothpaste and soap you use, the bread you eat, the tea you use, the furniture, that is chair, table, etc. you use, the dress you wear, the television you see, are some of the examples. Have you ever thought of how these things are made available to you? Each one of them has a long process behind it. Take for example a toilet soap. It is manufactured or produced by some company, say Tata Oil Mills Limited or Hindustan Lever Limited. They procure the oils, fats, etc., which are the basic raw materials used in the soap. These raw materials are processed into soap cake with the help of men and machines. Then these cakes are packed or wrapped in attractive printed paper. Though the soap is ready, it is not available to you at this stage because it is still in the factory. The soaps are shifted from the factory and stored in company's warehouse. The producer sells the soaps to wholesalers who buy it in large quantities and move them to their places and keep them in their warehouses. The wholesale trader in turn sells in small quantities to the retailer. The shops in your locality from which you purchase your soap is one such retail outlet. In simple terms, this is the story of your soap reaching you. The story is more or less the same in case of almost all the items we have listed in the beginning. The manufacturer produces goods for the consumer. Sometimes there may not be anybody between the two, but often the manufacturer may take the help of middlemen like the wholesalers and retailers to distribute the goods to the consumers. Certain other agencies like banks, insurance companies, transportation firms, warehouses, advertising agencies, etc. also aid the functioning of manufacturers and traders. You will learn more about their activities later in this unit. You may be wondering why they are doing all this. You are right. That is their business. They are doing all this, or each one of them is doing his bit of activity with an intention or a motive. The intention is to earn something more than what they spend in carrying out the activity. The something more is profit. The intention is technically called profit motive. Therefore, any activity carried out with profit motive is business. It may be a soap manufacturer or an aircraft manufacturer or a provisional store or a pawn shop or a cloth shop or a medical store or a hotel. They are all engaged in a business activity. In other words, the term business can be defined as production of goods and services and all those activities that are involved in flow of goods from the point of production to the point of consumption or final use with a view to earn profit. A person who is engaged in business is called a businessman or an entrepreneur, and a unit formed for the purpose of carrying on some business activity is called a business firm or a business enterprise. Generally, the business firm has a name such as Ashok Traders, Rekha Cloth Emporium, or Sabariwala and Company, or Bajaj Auto Limited. Classification of business activities. Business activities may be broadly classified into two categories. First one, industry, and next, commerce. Industry is concerned with the production of goods and materials, while the commerce is mainly concerned with their distribution. Industry. The term industry refers to that part of the business activity which is concerned with extracting materials like coal, iron ore, petroleum, processing and converting raw materials into finished products like soap, bread, fans, machinery, etc. Construction activities like buildings, dams, bridges, roads, called constructive industries. Commerce. Well, industry is concerned with production of goods. Commerce is concerned with making the same available to those who need them. In other words, commerce is mainly concerned with distribution of goods. It embraces all those functions which are essential for maintaining a free and uninterrupted flow of goods. Therefore, the term commerce includes trade and aid to trade. Trade. The term trade is used to denote buying and selling. Therefore, one who buys and sells is a trader. A trader is a middleman between the producer and the consumer. Trader may be wholesale trade or retail trade. A wholesale trader purchases in large quantities from the producers and sells in small quantities to the retail traders. A retail trader is the one who purchases from the wholesale traders or sometimes directly from the producer and sells in smaller quantities to ultimate consumers. Aid to trade. All activities that facilitate smooth flow of goods from manufacturing centers to the consumption centers are called aids or auxiliary to trade. Aid to trade may be classified into five categories, that is transportation, warehousing, insurance, advertising, and banking. Next, forms of business organization. You have learned that business is of many types. It may be an industrial activity, a trading activity, a transport activity, or a banking activity. Whatever be the nature of business activity, money is required to start it and also to maintain it. First of all, you need a place to work or to carry out the activity. Then you need men and material. Let us take the case of a retail cloth shop. You need a place to locate the shop. You can hire it by paying rent. You need showcase or shelves where cloth can be displayed. Then you have to purchase the cloth either from wholesaler or directly from the manufacturer. You also need salesmen to sell the cloth to customers entering into your shop. All these things require money and somebody has to provide it. One who provides this amount initially is the one who would normally owns the business and as such is called the owner. The amount contributed by the owner is called ownership capital or simply capital. The owner, besides providing capital, bears the risk of the business. Though the aim of the business is to make profit, there is no guarantee that the business always makes profit. Sometimes it may incur loss. The possibility of incurring loss is called risk. He also has the right to organize his business and run it the way he likes it. The business is divided into different types. They are sole tradership, partnership, company. Let us now briefly discuss these organizations. Sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship form of organization is the oldest and even today the most common form of organization for small business. As the name implies, it is owned by one person. That is why it is also called individual proprietorship or sole trader organization. He supplies the capital required for the business. If necessary, he borrows funds from his friends, relatives, and banks. He manages the business himself or may take the help of his family members. If necessary, he may employ people to assist him. He enjoys all the profits earned by the business. In case of loss, naturally he alone has to bear it. Partnership. When the business grows in size, it needs more capital. If the sole proprietor is not in a position to supply all the capital required, he may admit one or more persons as partners into his business. Sometimes two or more persons come together, combine their capital and skills and carry on business as partners. Company. When the business requires capital on a large scale, say in lakhs or crores of rupees, a sole proprietor or a few partners may not be able to provide the entire capital. Even if they are able to somehow provide it, the risk involved is great. Generally, therefore, when the funds required for the business are large, company form of business organization is prepared for a large sized business. It is a convenient form of business organization. Unit 2. Nature and scope of accounting. In this unit, we'll discuss the concepts like need for accounting, objectives of accounting, definition and scope of accounting, bookkeeping, accounting and accountancy, parties interested in accounting information, branches of accounting, advantages of accounting. First, let's start with the need for accounting. In the previous unit, we have identified the need for accounting. Let us elaborate on this. Suppose you are given 10 rupees to purchase vegetables and asked to account for the amount. You have purchased the vegetables 1 kg of tomatoes for rupees 4, 1 kg of potatoes for rupees 3 and 1 kg of brinjals for rupees 2. The total amount spent is rupees 9 and the balance of amount with you is rupee 1. Thus, you have rendered the account for rupees 10. This is one-time affair. Therefore, you could remember what you have spent. Suppose you are given rupees 2000 and asked to manage the home for a month and render the account for the money at the end of the month. You will be purchasing groceries like milk, vegetables, paying for electricity, school, college, fees, etc. You will be spending almost every day. In that case, it is possible to remember all the payments you are making every day and rendering account at the end of the month? No, it is not possible to remember, especially when the number of payments is more. Not only that, it is not even advisable to depend on memory. Therefore, it is better to write down or record whatever payments you have made. Further, it is advisable to obtain the receipts or bills for the payments you have made so that you can render the account beyond doubt. The above example is a simple one where you have one receipt of money that is rupees 2000 and a number of payments. But the case of business is different. In business, you may have to purchase and sell hundreds and thousands of times over a period of time. You will have to number of receipts and a number of payments. Will it be possible for you to remember hundreds and thousands of transactions which have taken place in your business? That too over a period of time, say a year. It is not humanly possible to remember all the transactions which have taken place in business over a period of time. Even if you remember all the transactions, you will find it impossible to calculate the net effect of all such transactions, that is, profit. It therefore becomes necessary to record all the transactions that have taken place in business. Further, it is not possible for the businessman to sit at the cash counter throughout the day. Sometimes his family members may be asked to sit at the cash counter. As the size of the business grows, it becomes necessary to employ people to assist the businessman. In such case, theft of goods or cash is possible, or all the sales proceeds may not be put into the cash box. Hence, it becomes necessary to maintain accounting records for the purpose of control, especially when outsiders are employed. It can thus be seen that there is a need for proper accounting records even in case of sole proprietorship concerns. It is all the more important in the case of other forms of business organization. In case of partnership firm, all the partners may or may not be actively participating in the day-to-day management of the business. It is therefore necessary to record all the transactions in order to satisfy all the partners in case of a company. It is not possible for the owners or shareholders who are too large in numbers to take part in the day-to-day management of the company. Generally, the management of the company is entrusted to paid managers. Hence, the need for recording all transactions. Information about the business is required for both internal and external use. For example, the management needs a lot of information for their internal use for planning, controlling, and evaluating the operations of the business. Information is also needed by some outsiders like banks, creditors, etc. For example, it is required for filing sales tax, income tax, and other tax returns with appropriate tax authorities. When a firm approaches the bank for loan or the creditors for supply of goods on credit, the bank or creditors like to know the firm's financial position and its profit earning capacity. The question is how to obtain all such information. A systematic accounting record is the only answer. Accounting is necessary in not only business organizations but also non-business organizations like schools, colleges, hospitals, libraries, etc. Objectives of accounting. The main objectives of accounting are to keep systematic records, to ascertain the net effect of the business operations, that is, profit or loss of business, to ascertain the financial position of the business, to provide accounting information to interested parties. And definition and scope of accounting. Accounting has been defined in different ways by different authorities on the subject. The American Accounting Association defines accounting as the process of identifying, measuring, and communicating economic information to permit informed judgments and decisions by users of the information. This definition stresses the three aspects, that is, identifying, measuring, and communicating economic information. In the words of the Committee on Terminology appointed by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, accounting is the art of recording, classifying, and summarizing in a significant manner and in terms of money, transactions and events which are in part at least of a financial character and interpreting the results thereof. This is a popular definition of accounting and it outlines the nature and scope of accounting activity. Bookkeeping, accounting and accountancy. You know, accounting involves a series of activities as listed out in the scope of accounting. These activities are identifying, measuring, recording, classifying, summarizing, analyzing, interpreting, and communicating the final transactions and events. Bookkeeping is a narrow term, which means record keeping or maintaining books of accounts. It only covers the first four activities of accounting. The term accounting refers to a systematized knowledge of accounting and is regarded as an academic subjects like economics, stats, chemistry, etc. It explains why to do and how to do of various aspects of accounting. In other words, while accounting refers to the actual process of preparing and presenting the accounts, accountancy tells us why and how to prepare the books of accounts and how to summarize the accounting information and communicate it to the interested parties. Thus, accountancy is a science, a body of systematized knowledge, whereas accounting is the art of putting such knowledge into practice. Parties interested in accounting information. You have learned that many groups of people are interested in accounting information which may help them to understand the present position of the enterprise, to compare its present performance with that of its past years, to compare its present performance with that of similar enterprise. Now let us see who such parties are and how accounting information is useful to various parties. Owners. Owners contribute capital and assume the risk of the business. Naturally, they are interested to know the amount of profit earned by the business and so also its financial position. If, however, the management of the business is entrusted to paid managers, the owners also use the accounting information to evaluate the performance of the managers. Managers. Accounting information supplemented by other information is of immense use to managers. It helps them to plan, control, and evaluate the operations of the business. They also need such information for various decision makings. Lenders. The funds are provided by the owners initially, but if the business requires more funds, they are provided by banks and other lenders of money. Before they lend money, they would like to know the solvency of the enterprise so as to satisfy themselves that their money will be safe and that they can expect repayment on time. Creditors. Those who supply goods and services on credit are called creditors. Like lenders, they too want to know about solvency of the enterprise so as to decide whether credit can be granted or not. Prospective investors, a person who wants to become a partner in a partnership concern or a person who wants to become a shareholder of a company would like to know how safe and rewarding the proposed investment would be. Tax authorities. Tax authorities of the government are interested in the financial statements so as to access the taxability of the enterprise. Employees. The employees of the enterprise are also interested in knowing the state of affairs of the organization in which they are working, so as to know how safe their interests are in that organization. So these are the various parties who are interested in accounting information. Now move to next concept, that is branches of accounting. Accounting as we know it today has evolved over many centuries in response to the changing economic, social, and political conditions. The development of modern accounting was influenced by a number of factors such as industrial revolution, growth of large enterprises like companies, introduction of compulsory audit of companies, legal regulations, establishment of professional organizations like Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the Institute of Cost and Work Accountants of India, American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, etc. Economic development and technological improvements have resulted in an increase in the scale of business operations and the advent of company form of organization. This has made management function more and more complex. These factors have increased the importance of accounting and have given rise to special branches of accounting. The important branches of accounting are financial accounting, cost accounting, management accounting. Advantages of accounting. The following are the advantages of properly maintained accounting system. 1. Replaces memory. Second, provides control over assets. Third, facilitates the preparation of financial statements. Fourth, meets the information requirements. Fifth, facilitates a comparative study. Sixth, assists the management in many ways. Seventh, difficult to conceal fraud or theft. Eighth, tax matters. And ninth, ascertaining value of business.